This conference will now be recorded.
Miss Barnes, Miss Hunt. Can you guys hear me okay? Miss Buckles, can you hear me? Yes, okay, thank you. Our high school counselors are having some technical difficulties. I could a minute ago. Check the mic at the bottom.
Okay. Now can you hear us? Okay.
Crazy.
Okay. Why is mine not working? That's okay.
All right.
We will just go with that then.
Thank you for your patience on waiting on us. We'll get set back up. We had changed our volume and I guess it switched computers for some reason. So we are ready to go. I didn't hear the introduction, but thank you for all of you that are here.
Okay, so yes, I'm Miss Barnes. I do 9th and 10th grade. So I'm just going to start. We're presenting, like it's titled, Unlocking Graduation. So it's really the presentation that we're giving to the students in class right now while we're scheduling. We thought it'd be a good idea for parents to see and hear exactly what we're telling your students so that y'all can have a really good discussion when you're choosing your classes for next year. So we're just going to jump in. So that's our information. That's our email addresses, phone numbers, in case anyone wants to take a screenshot or something of that for future. Let's see. So we're going to start with just what is required for graduation for high school. So you can see on the screen, there's 3 different plans. But just like I tell the kids in the class, the top plan, the one that's white, the 26 credits, that is the plan everybody is on in high school. And so it's your graduating foundation with an endorsement with the intent you're going to be distinguished, which pretty much means that you're going to take all your required classes in high school. And then you can do whatever you want after high school. You can go to college, you could go to trade school, junior college, military, whatever you want to do. It doesn't limit you. And so that is our thought, is that we don't want to limit a kid with any choice they're going to make in the future. So like I said, 26 credits. I always tell them that's the magic number to get out. And so how you do that is you take core classes every year. So core classes are, you're going to take 4 Englishes, 4 maths, 4 science, and 4 histories. You're going to take 2 years of a foreign language, 1 year of a fine art, 1 year of PE, and then you got to have that professional communication class. And so it's kind of up to the kids as they get going as to what class, like what kind of math class they want to choose, what kind of science. So each one's going to have a different type of class, but they're still following the requirements. And then after that, what fulfills the rest is your electives, your CTE classes, all those fun classes that they get to do. The other graduation plans on there, the foundation with an endorsement, that pretty much the biggest thing is that you don't graduate distinguished, mainly because of the Algebra 2. So it's still the same requirements with credits, but it's just maybe you don't take an Algebra 2 class. So we always think, like, I recommend if a kid's going to go to college, they really need to take the Algebra 2 and stay on track with that top one so that they don't hurt themselves from getting it anywhere. But also, like me, I'm not as strong in math. So I can understand if some people are like, I don't know about algebra 2. So we have that option. And then the last one is foundation. I truthfully tell the kids in class, we're not really going to discuss that one because it is kind of done senior year with a parent conference, and it's lower credits, but it also kind of hinders you on what you can do after high school. So that's really a discussion that needs to be had with a parent and a student, and not until later in the high school career. So that's why we don't really touch on that one too terribly much. Then classification. So kids like to know, they ask the questions like, why am I'm a junior, but I'm really only a ninth grader and a sender. And so we explain to them the state has certain guidelines that you have to follow to be able to be categorized as a certain grade. And so you can see that to be able to be categorized as a sophomore, you have to end freshman year with at least 6 credits. The same thing, if you want to be categorized as a junior, you have to end the school year, sophomore year, with 12 credits. And then senior, you have to end junior year with 18 credits. And so as you start counting up, it does, give a little leadway if a kid fails a class or two, they're still on track. But if they're having that question, or you yourself as a parent is wondering why my student isn't marked a certain way on their ID, this is why, is because they have to follow the credit requirements by the state. And then endorsements. So if you remember back to the screen that we were talking about, the graduation plans, the ones that are tagged to endorsements, that really is tied to what kind of CTE class, elective class you're taking. So the thought is that everyone has to graduate with at least one endorsement. I do tell kids that you possibly could graduate with 3. That's awesome. On your transcript at the bottom, it lists what endorsement you're working on right now as a high school student. And so that kind of can tell you the pathway of CTE classes that you're going to take. So I always like to give the example of if a student's taking culinary and then they really love a culinary class and they want to stay with it, and they take a culinary class every year they're in high school, they will graduate with that endorsement, which is ultimately a business endorsement. So that's kind of how that works. And then these are like the 5 endorsements that we have at Kennedale. So you've got STEM, which is your science, your technology, your engineering, and your math. You've got business, which encompasses a ton of classes. You've got public service, you have arts and humanities, and then you have the last one, which is multidisciplinary. I always explain to everyone, if you follow the requirements for high school graduation and you take all the classes that you have to take, you're going to graduate with this one for sure. And the best way to also call it is, if you're in college, it's almost like a general studies degree. It's like you're taking the classes you need, so you're covered. So that's kind of on the last one what that's about. So, and then to get further into the endorsements, these are all the classes with the business. So within the business endorsement, if your student is taking one of those types of classes, if they stay with those classes every year in high school, then that's how they get the business endorsement. And then the same thing with the public service. There's a few listed in there, also with STEM, and then the arts and humanities. So I like to tell kids, if you're a band student and you do band all 4 years, you get a special endorsement for that, just like foreign language. So those are some things that they can graduate with. And then sliding into talking about endorsements, electives, we tie it all together to CTE. And so, like I was saying, in order to get the endorsement, you have to follow those classes. And so this sheet we give to your students because it is a lot. it is a lot to keep up with. And so sometimes they don't know what the class is called. What is the next class I'm supposed to sign up for next year to stay in the pathway? And so we made this handy little sheet for them to follow. So I always do an example. I always ask, is anyone in culinary? And so the kids that are in culinary, they're in the principal's class, which, as you can see on the screen at the top, that's the first class. And so I'm like, okay, if you're taking that class, then the next class you're going to sign up for is the one right below it. And then it just continues on from there. So that is kind of a complete list for you to look at as a parent of what kind of classes they're going to be taking all 4 years in high school. So, and then this sheet, which is also given to them, it's just all your TCC offerings. So these are your dual credit classes. These are your classes that your student can take at TCC to get college credit. There is a lot that are being offered next year. And so as more information comes out, we inform the kids about it. But there's a lot of opportunities for kids to graduate with certain certifications through these programs. So it's just something that they can look at. We also tell them, there is some prices. They may be taking them at the campus instead of here. Like, there's a lot of ins and outs, but if they're interested, then I always tell them to put it on their schedule so that we can give them their information to make that decision.
Okay.
Okay.
Always.
Okay. That's it. All right. So that's kind of an overview, a very simplified overview. You may have lots of questions, but what it takes to get to that point. The one thing on the last slide I want to point out is that is a certification. These are for juniors and seniors, and these are for the level 1 certification. So they're not academic focused, they are unskilled or trade focused. And so juniors and seniors most of them, pathways will take you a year and a half to complete in most cases. Some are on TCC campus and some are on our campus. But definitely for juniors and seniors, if your student is interested to receive that level 1 certification, once they graduate, they can go straight to the workforce in that area. That would be something to consider. Okay. Extra items for your transcript or for graduation. Seniors think I should be good to go because I have passed all my classes, but the state loves to add extra things. And so some extra items that they must complete in order to graduate would be CPR. It is a 2-year time frame. So if they take it as a freshman and complete their CPR certification, they will have to retake that 2 years later because it does expire. So we encourage juniors and or seniors to take that as opposed to freshman, sophomore, just so that they can, it does not expire before graduation. They also have an interaction with the police officer training. This is done by our SRO on campus, and he goes through a lot of different things for when you were, let's say, driving and you happen to be pulled over. How would you handle that in the best format? So that's a lot of really good information that is required to graduate. Professional communication is a 1-semester course that is required. This falls into your electives. So you need 7 electives to graduate. This would count as half of one of those. FAFSA, this is your free application for federal student aid. All seniors are required to complete FAFSA with their family or they can opt out if they do not plan on going straight to college or a trade school. Most trade schools now are accepting FAFSA as well. So they are required to do this. We follow them around for their senior year, trying to make sure they get that finished, but that is an item that is found on their transcript. EOC scores, they are required, all students, to pass 5 EOCs. Another name for those would be your end of course exam or STAR tests. We have English 1, English 2, biology, algebra 1, and US history. Those are found on the transcript as well. Endorsements, which Ms. Barnes has gone over thoroughly on what an endorsement is. They are required to have a minimum of 1. And then on their transcript, you will find their GPA, class rank, and quartile. So here's an example of what a transcript looks like if your student hasn't brought one home. Freshmen don't have them yet. We run their GPA and transcripts at the end of the year. But sophomores, juniors, and seniors should have these. Have come home with these, and just wanted you to kind of see an idea of it. Obviously their name will be at the top, but we've taken that part off. But you can see in the top right hand corner, EOC assessments. It will show if they have taken the test. It will show whether they've approached meets or masters, or the other did not meet. If they did not meet, they would be required to take that again. That would be part of a graduation to pass all 5 of those. You can see that the way Kennedale does their transcripts, it is divided per subject. So we have language arts there in between. After that, you would have their professional communication, and it goes from there. The math, science, social studies, health, if they took that in junior high, PE, other language, fine art, and then their career in technology, which would be their CTE. So this is where we calculate credits and grades. To receive a credit, a student needs to complete a course for the entire year. For example, English 1. If they've completed and passed both semesters, they would receive 1 credit. If your student happens to have a star beside one of the grades on their transcript, and you would notice that they did not receive credit. That would mean that they did not meet the seat time requirements to receive credit for that course. If they make up the seat time within that time frame that year, that credit can be restored. If they do not make up that credit, that student will have to retake that course in order to receive that credit. If you see there's a lot of different codes. Most of those codes can be identified at the bottom of the transcript. Towards the bottom right-hand side, you will see credits totals. You would want to always look at the state. At times, they have local credits as well, and that would be at the very bottom of all the list of credits. A local credit, it does not count towards graduation or count towards their GPA. So that some students will have several local credits, and then that would definitely not be counted. In the bottom right, Ms. Barnes was talking about endorsements. At the very bottom, you can see it shows that what endorsements they are currently working on or pursuing. Once those are finalized, the pursuing comes off. On the bottom left, you will see your students' class rank, GPA, college rank, sorry, I can't read it, and then all the other things that come after that regarding like your FAFSA, police interaction, and CPR. So once they complete some of those items, then the date goes on there. If it's blank, that means they have not completed that item. Typically, we really focus on juniors and seniors for most of those. So that would be kind of a general overview of what the transcript tells you. And so now that you know what they're required to complete in high school to graduate, can they get college credit? And the answer in high school, so a dual credit, yes, they can. We have a lot of different options for that. For a student who maybe academics is not their forte, that's not their strong suit, we have the listed TCC courses right there that are more hands-on. Several of them go to TCC, and actually we will be taking a bus next year. They will go to TCC and complete these courses and then come back to finish out their day. A few of them, like your accounting assistant, accounting clerk, those will be completed here on campus for those students. But they can graduate once again with that level 1 certification, be able to go straight into the workforce. So that would be, yes, that's one way they can get like a trade as far as for their complete before their graduation. Another way they can get college credit is we have 3 different types of courses on our campus. And the first one is UT On-Ramps. This is through the University of Texas in Austin. And these courses are taken on our campus. Our teacher works with a UT Austin professor. And so that student would receive college credit for that course, as well as high school credit for that course. And it would be through UT Austin. So when they get ready to go to college, then they would go to their UT Austin portal, and that is where they would receive their grades and send those to their college of choice if it weren't there. Another way to receive college credit while in high school is our AP classes. It stands for Advanced Placement. These courses are taken with one of our teachers that have been trained through College Board to present information and curriculum in that course. So those courses, they will stay with the teacher all year, complete the course for a high school grade. In May, they will sign up to take an AP test. If the scores on the AP tests are 1 to 5, if they make 3 or higher, that most colleges would accept that as a college credit. It may go in as a pass. It may go in as an elective. It's up to the college how they determine to use that, but it would count for college credit. The third way on our campus to receive academic credits for college and high school will be our dual credit, and this is done with TCC. TCC will get the students enrolled with us. We partner with them. They will take the course. The student will be assigned a teacher. They will sit in that class. They are a one-to-one. The student will work with the TCC professor. The class that they're sitting in, the teacher is just there for moral support. They don't have access to their grades. Parents will not have access to the grades. Counselors do not have access to the grades. The student is merely working one-on-one with the teacher and the themselves online, but they are allotted a time during the high school day to work on that course. This one I've had a lot of questions on. The student will only get a grade in this course at the end of the semester. So that's how that dual credit is a little bit different. This is a sheet that we use with students, and I'd be happy to send you one if you need it, but it's comparing the three, and the students always ask, how do I know which is best? What would you say is the best way to go? And it's really a student preference, student parent preference. And I tried to explain to them, it's more about your learning style. Your AP is strictly, you're working with the teacher on our campus, and you take a test to determine whether you receive that credit. Your dual credit, that's an online course. You don't have the support of a campus. You would have to work with that TCC professor only. So if your student is excels on working in an online one-on-one, that might be a good option for them. If they want kind of the best of both in that sense, they need that support from a teacher on campus, but yet they like some of that independence as well, then an on-ramps course is a good option for them. Right now, currently an AP test runs about $99. Dual credit is currently free through TCC. On-ramps is currently running about $149 per course. So that kind of gives you an idea of that. So if we're talking about all that, a lot of students want to know, well, how do you even figure, how do my grades count? How important are they? Why do they matter? So we talk to them pretty frequently about the GPA table or grade point average. We've gone through their classes and explained to them, how do we figure a GPA? We take their grades. Their grades are allotted points, and those points are added up and divided by the number of courses. And so we do point out, we have a lot of honor students and those that are interested in practicum. We do point out that sometimes the rigor of the class could be harder than your gen ed or regular class, but you're rewarded for that based on points per class. Also, this is an incentive for them to work really hard in their CTE, because as they improve or work through that program for their CTE endorsement, once they get to the practicum, which is the final course that they would be in, it is on a 5-weight GPA. So they are receiving a lot of extra weight on that course for the grade. Typically, the grades are really good in those practicums. And so it's kind of an incentive to finish that course of study as well. So CCMR is the hot topic right now through the state. CCMR stands for College, Career, and Military Ready. The state of Texas, or TA, wants us to see that as kids are becoming seniors and graduating, they want to see that they have a plan of action once they leave the high school. And so we have really been pushing this information out. It's a lot of information, and so it definitely is going to take multiple times of going into classes and talking with your students to help them understand, because they're just kind of getting tidbits and at a time. But the new policy for next year, as a junior or senior, typically you've been able to have late arrival, early dismissal, teacher's aide, counselor. But in order to help our students be successful post-secondary, they have implemented a strategic plan for helping them to become college, career, or military ready. And so for next year for juniors, they will need to be CCMR met to have an off-campus privilege. And so here are listed some of the ways. Juniors will not most of the time have taken SAT or ACT, but they can take the TSIA, which is a test as well, to show that they are college ready. It's very similar to kind of the strategy of kind of SAT, ACT. It's just formatted differently. A lot of colleges will accept that as their entrance. As seniors, I know a lot of times we sit and talk with seniors and they're like, well, I don't really want to take the SAT or any of that. I've already been accepted. But what happens is once they get to college, they take that, they're accepted, they go to freshman orientation. We are finding that the college is then asking for their scores, test scores. And if they haven't taken it, they will be required to take the test there at the campus in the summer, when that's probably the least of their worries right then. And then based on their test scores, they would be determined whether they can go ahead and continue with their coursework for college and their major, or will they need to take remedial courses to prepare them and get them ready their next year to start taking their coursework. So there's a lot of cost involved. If you did have to go that remedial route, you're prolonging the opportunity to go ahead and get involved in your course study. And so that can be very discouraging. So on our campus, we really do encourage and highly recommend and give them guidance on getting at least SAT, TSI, or ACT ready. That way, when they go to college, that's done. Another way they can become CCMR would have to do with your on-ramps completion, completion of dual credit, completion of maybe an AP test, making a 3 or higher, completing their coherent sequence for their endorsement, signing for the military. Typically, that will be your seniors, but that would make them CCMR MET, or earn a level 1 certification. So these are just a lot of different ways for them to become CCMR and or college ready that we're trying to teach them and help them guide them through. This would be a good example of a junior course list. Your student will come home with a packet. They will have a list of these. They will also have the list of the CTE courses. So they use this to choose the courses that they will need for next year, or they prefer for next year. We've gone over how they need a core course of each of the sections each year. And then on the bottom of this page, you can see there are the electives. Those are the electives that you would need at least 1 or 2 to graduate. For instance, your PE, they would need 1. We talk about if they're in athletics and they have 4 years of athletics, the first one would count towards the requirement for PE. The next 3 would count towards their electives. So no wasted classes on their part. Everything will be plugged in somewhere, but it kind of gives them an idea of these are some of the required. This will be a colored sheet that they'll come home with, and this is where they will start identifying the courses that they want to register for. It's kind of what we tell them their cheat sheet. They will have time, they can change it. They can, once they're set with it, this is what they'll use to actually enroll. This is what we like parents to see and sign off and ensure that, yes, this is a good plan of action for you. We agree with the classes. The alternates are listed there, but it gives you an idea of what they're looking at taking for the next year. If they have concerns, all students except for 9th graders should come home with a transcript with their paperwork. But if they have lost it or they don't have it at the time, they can also access the courses they've taken on their Student Ascender portal. They can see what classes they've actually received credit for, and possibly what classes they still need, how many credits they still need for that particular area. So how are the students asked to pre-register? We decided to put this in just for parents to have an idea of what's going on. They're going to select their 4 core courses and their 4 electives, including their CTE as well. They are to choose 2 alternates in case Kennedale being a small school district, sometimes things don't schedule or sometimes things fill up. So we ask them to choose 2 classes as alternates if something were not to work in their schedule. If they're interested in honors or AP or on-ramps, we highly recommend those. But we do ask them, talk to your teachers about that. The teacher of math, their math teacher would know, yes, it's a really good option for you. I highly recommend this. Or maybe let's not try that next year. Maybe just take 1 in science because that seems to be a stronger area for you. So the teachers are great resources for that. We encourage them to consult with their family, making sure before they do that, get their parent signature. And then they have been shown where to go to enroll their courses in Zello. It is through their Clever account. And they've been given the steps. There's a paper in their packet that also shows them how to go through each step to get that done. Once they're done, they will turn in their colored sheet to their social studies teacher. We keep those on file if we need to look back on any thing, if we have questions about that. So if you need any access to any of these papers or the academic course planning and catalog, these can be found on the Kennedale High School website. You would go to About Us, do the drop-down menu to Counselors, and it's under Academic Planning. And so this, we show kids, this is a wealth of information. If you don't have your sheets on you or you just have some extra questions that maybe didn't get answered, this is a great place. It's also a great place to find course descriptions because students are often asked, what is this course and what might I learn? What might I be doing? The academic handbook is a great place to get that information. So
And that is it.
that is a lot of information for you. And definitely we're here. We're happy to. We're finishing classes this week. So if your student does not have their information, they should have it by tomorrow. We should be done tomorrow. But please don't hesitate to send us an email, give us a call. We're happy to sit down with you if that would help you to feel better about the planning for your student. When they go to Zello, they do have an opportunity to plan out that 4 years so they can kind of see a big picture of that. A lot of them have already completed that, which is great. But we're here to help you. We're here to make sure your student is successful and definitely to be able to walk that stage and be ready once they walk that stage to go out to the real world and do something really big.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Miss Hunt, Miss Barnes. A wealth of information in 30 minutes. Like, you guys
It was
did amazing.
fast.
Yes, amazing. It is a lot of information. Thank you all for joining us today. We hope this session provided some valuable insights into the graduation process, course selection for your students. If you have any further questions, please feel free to contact Miss Hunt, Miss Barnes, and also access all the wealth of information on our website as well. This session will be available for viewing in the Parent Use section on our KAC website, so you can reference back to it as well. And we appreciate your participation and look forward to seeing you at future sessions. Have a great day.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.